Hello everyone, how you doing today? Well, today I wanted to build a modular creel landing pad, and I've been kind of going through some ideas in my head. Now, my last attempt, I was screwing up something on the copy-paste process with whatnot, so it kind of failed, but I didn't really like what I was making in the first place. And the objective of this landing pad is to be able to support the creel beholder. Um, so obviously I got it kind of sitting above the other one of the other landing pads I made, the Foundation XL right now, and this was a modular construction design as well. Um, and I guess what I go for on landing pads is, how cheap can I make them? It is required on structures this big to elevate them from the ground because typically, even like the ground that you see here is not it's really flat, which I could have this lower, but in reality, in game, the terrain is fluctuates an awful lot more, so it's really hard to have a large structure like this on the ground and not have problems unless you elevate it, then sink the pylons, I guess you can say, into the ground some. Now, I didn't sink it much into the ground here, I just sort of placed it, but that's the thing. Now, but what I also don't want to end up with is another landing pad very similar to this that's just skinned creel. Um, and that's another thing, it's creel. They're really based around a lot more exotic designs. So what can I do to make a landing pad for this modular and pretty quick? Well, I was kind of tooling around with some different ideas. Now, one thing that's going to be repeated an awful lot are the pylons. So I want to make them as cheap as I can. And well, anyway, let's just get started here. So the first thing, okay, I guess we can spawn that in the air like that. The first thing I wanted to do is set up like a central pad piece. Um, and I believe, let's see, how did I do it on the foundation here? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let me check structural integrity on this. Now I know I've got this column here. Oh, it's actually probably supported, isn't it? It's on the edge here. Let me take a look here, and so structural integrity. So this is the design that I'm expecting. It's almost like a diamond pattern in how the structural integrity is if all the feet are on the ground. It will not collapse. I know it looks pretty red in the middle here, but it's not red enough to collapse. It will go up another level. Like for instance, if I were to start building off the side over here, let's just do this a minute. The actual collapse point is when it turns this shade. This is still safe for editing. This is a fail point here. So it doesn't get any redder than that. So in the spacing of the columns on this one, this would work. So let's set up a new column to start with here. Let's go out here where I got this core, and I'll turn off structural integrity again. Okay, so we'll say this is the bottom. Um, Now another thing too, what do I want to make these legs out of? And how can I keep this unique from creel? Now I've experimented with some other parts. I just took a look at some deco blocks and some antennas for possible use of legs. Both of them cost a little bit more than actual concrete blocks that I'm using here, and both of them are very much weaker. So I ruled that out. I was trying to figure out a way to make these legs look semi-nice. um, I need a lot of them, so however I do these legs is going to affect the cost. Now, the cheapest thing I could do is obviously run up, I'm going to say I'm going to go 5 blocks high before it gets to the base on this one, um, like that. And, okay, so we'll say this is the base right now, and what we want to do is go out 5 blocks from each side at about the most I'm willing to do. I think you could do 6, but it would just make it a little bit worse yet with the structural integrity. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'll do the same thing out this way. So this is going to be a copied part, heavily copied part. So um, it's basically your central piece, just like you see over on the Foundation XL over there. And these need to connect, so there'll be another one on the next side, and so on and so forth. Um, Now, to make this one different than that one, I was thinking about kind of doing this on a bit of a 45-degree angle on the sides, but I'm not worried about that part yet. That's going to be a different piece. For right now, what I want to do is really tweak out this one part here and get it the best I can before it gets mass copied. So I'm going to try to look at every little detail I can. The first, to keep the cost down, the more blocks I use on these legs, the more expensive this thing's going to be, because it's going to be probably replicated by 50 to 80 times. So even if it's just a little bit more money by adding one more block, it's going to make the overall cost of this go up. But it is Creel, and I want it to be exotic, so that's where I have a big dilemma right now, is how can I balance this off to be looking Creel and not just a reskinned version of that, and be cost effective. That is the hardest issue I face right now with this particular build. And I'm not exactly sure how to pull it off, because there's not a lot of fluctuation I can do in this if I want to keep it cheap. And using carbon substrate really doesn't help. It's not as strong. I'm going to have to use some carbon substrate blocks for this, for the texturing, texture lights and things like that, because you don't get the selection of that in concrete blocks. So anyway, to start with here, man, what do I do for the base of this thing? And well, here, let's replace the full blocks here with gosh, that's so boring. That is so boring. Even the Foundation XL, though, I did kind of branch off, and I did add in some extra blocks on the legs to make it look prettier. I probably should do that on this too, because I mean, cosmetically speaking, it needs to look nice too, and that's where you really run into the big problems, is trying to be cheap and look pretty. But I mean, ideally, what I would love to see happen here, let's go up one more, is like some kind of like column, angled column piece that would come off from at least a couple sides of these legs and go up. Of course, it's going to up the cost of this, but I'm not sure what else I should do with it. And then what parts to use for that as well. Should I use like something like this going up the sides? Or should I? It's so tricky. On price, at least. I'll tell you what, here, I'm going to turn on symmetry. Whoop. Let's do the standard XY symmetry here. Let's see, did I get that right? Oh, I hit selection, duh. Alright, there we go. Okay. So, I guess just a little bit of experimenting right now to see how this comes out. I kind of like the angled look of that. It kind of looks a little industrial. Does it look Creel? Not really. But just trying to see if I should maybe try to angle this out a different way here. Something like that. And a lot of cost to this thing, though, by doing all this. Alright, so we got a little bit of angle action going on there. And let's put this place here. So now the core won't actually be there. This is actually the base right here. what's going to touch the ground. Now, although this looks like it would offer more structural support, I don't think it really is going to make a difference in the end on how this comes out. Now, I could add those beams out to the other side too, but I think that's just going to drive the price up. So maybe what I'll try to do is when these are placed is to have the outside beams angled so you see them from this view around the edges of this. Alright, so once we got that, next thing I want to do is establish a top to this. Let's see, these beams on the center here I think should be the way they are, but I'm going to see if I can mess with the blocks here a little bit to add something, some more polygon depth, I guess. Alright, so we've got that, then we got a central column here that's a full block thick. And then up on top, let's try to get something going up here with that. What could we do to the top of this to add something to look at with, but keeping the top of this surface flat, and also keeping in mind that this is going to be copied and pasted a lot of times. So what I'm thinking is maybe do something like that. See, make sure I got my time of day. Yeah, time of day is good. Turn on the light here too. Alright, so, and we got to basically square this off. I just want it to be looking as neat as I can get it to look, at least. Okay, so let's convert that one part into this. And then maybe I'll have it, I guess, come down a little bit there. Yeah, that'll work, I guess. And let's see what we do here. Just trying to use all kinds of different blocks and not just the square blocks. Trying to get as much things to look at in here as I can. Now there's going to be trim pieces on the side towards the outer edges as well, so I'm not worried about having like open stuff like that visible at the end. Alright. And then on the top here, what do we do? That look like if this was half blocks and even a half block there. So you're getting that intricate depth in there, more to texture, more to look at. Not that you're going to be looking at the bottom of this that much in the first place, but you know, since I only got to make one of these for the whole structure, like this, I might as well try to do it the best I can. Or make it look the most interesting at least. Alright. That's not quite what I did there. Okay, so that line was... Those were these. Done here to add a little something there. How about more of these on the inside, and then it comes just, I guess, another flat block there. And by doing all this, it's still like, this could all be like just solid flat blocks across the top instead of that. But this was just a lot more to look at. More to texture, of course, too, but you know, that's the thing with it. The more texture work you actually have to do, usually the more detailed you can make the thing. It's just I'm trying to think on a design for these outer edges here. That's all I got right now going for me are these half blocks, and they're kind of a little on the boring side. But what else could I possibly do here? Well, these are all going to join in the center, so if these had something going on here, it would all work. So maybe I should take these and have it come down again a little bit, because it'll make like a pattern. And I could do that and put that, oh, not that one, this one. Of course, whatever block I use here has to have a solid top on it, so it can't fluctuate that way. You don't want to screw up the landing pad by having all kinds of crazy going on there. And maybe in the center here I put in another half block. So something like that. I'm going to replicate that over here real quick. Let's see, so that was that. Okay. And half block here again. Alright, so yeah, it's a little weird with what I got going on here, but I kind of dig it. I never tried that before. It's always looking for new combinations and patterns and things to do with blocks. Okay, so here is a part. Next thing is got to identify where I want the texture lights on here. Because it's Creel, they're kind of heavily influenced on texture lights. So what I want to do now is replace a couple places that I think texture lights should go, because you don't have the option for that with the concrete blocks. So I'm looking at that part on both sides here, and we'll just grab the same thing again. And we'll replace that to carbon substrate. Where else could be a neat place to add a texture light here? Well, these parts here too. The round. That would look much better if it was textured with something that concrete doesn't offer. Actually, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. I just thought there is a texture for concrete. There it goes. Okay. Alright, so next part. I want to go grab the color palette from a Creel creation. This is, I've been asked this a lot in comments too. This is the way I like to do it. I usually go over to the Creel creation, or any Creel creation, they all have the same color palette, with the color tool. I'll open this up, I'll hit the configure button. I will touch or make sure the top left is selected. I hold down the shift key and I touch on the bottom right. Okay, that'll select all. Then I hit copy. So then I'll hit OK. I'll run over to this. I'll repeat the same first part of the process. So I'll go into configure. I will select all these the same way. So I'll top that, hold down shift, bottom right, and hit paste. So now we've just moved the color palette to this structure over here. So now this gives me all my Creel colors, which is perfect. Now we can begin texturing this one part. To start with, where I put these texture lights, we're going to go with a Creel texture light color, and then try to figure out what might look the best here. And also, temporarily, I want to see what they look like lit up, so I'm going to add a generator and a fuel tank to this for the time being, and fill that up so I can turn this thing on. Alright, so that's what that would look like if I use that particular texture. Now, typically with Creel, I use this. So I'll probably do that here too, just to have a sense of consistency. Now, another place that could have texture lights. You can see a little bit. I was thinking these corners right here. And say, and is there anything else to use besides a half block? Could really try to go crazy and do something round here. It's not going to affect the cost. It'll affect the size class, but not the cost. So if I did something like that, we could have this round indentation pattern in these areas. But do I need carbon substrate for that? If I don't, I'll go for the concrete because of the hit point difference. So I think I'm going to do that here. And I want these exactly backwards, because when 4 of these merge together, it's going to make a round circle there, which I think might be kind of cool. All right, so now that's just a bunch of routine texturing right now. Actually, I'm going to get rid of one other. Or do I want to? How about this block here? I want to replace that also with substrate, again for the texturing. And alright, texture time. So let's see, on the edges here, we're just going to go with a dark and probably what I can use with concrete. So on these round surfaces here, I was thinking about trying to go with this bizarre texture here, your kind of roof texturing. But colored in this color, it does look quite a bit different than it would on if it was red in the ceramic roofing. And let's see here. Let's also go with something a little different. And then on these base columns here, let's go to one of the purples. And how about this texture here, which is very Creel based like. Used quite a bit. And for the legs themselves, what should they be colored in? Good question. Maybe get some vents in here somewhere. And something like that, and maybe that texture, and no, not that one. This one. Okay, that's more Creel. Put in something at the top so it looks like it mounts up there. And let's see, what do we put here? Could do something like that. Alright. We got more of that here. What if we did add a texture light on the sides over here? We're not going to do it with that unless we use this texture. I could handle that. And I don't need to replace, don't need to replace the block for that one. Okay, so then let's go dark and back to concrete. Oh, what's weird is like this part seems like it's taken a little bit, but and then you think, oh man, it's a really big structure you're building. But yeah, this is going to go really quick once you have literally like 3 or 4 different parts. and this is probably the most complicated of the parts. Then you just assemble it, and it goes very quickly, and then all of a sudden you're like done before you know it. And that's what's kind of neat about this modular type of design, is it's not anything you do here and put the time into. It's not bad. I kind of like how that looks like it's like anchored there. Alright, so now down the center, let's go back to purple. Let's just try to, oh no, we got that right on the sides too. I don't want to use the same texture. It's one thing I do is I try to mix up the texture so I don't have too much of the same thing. Where I run into trouble is it's rough because you only got so many textures to work with, and it fluctuates based on material. So what I'm thinking is I'll do this one down the center to make it a little bit different. And then we can probably fill this part in with more of the purple. Across that. And let's see, do we want maybe one more texture light in the center like that. And I guess I'll just keep these going dark. Like that. Not sure what else to do with it. Okay, so now going down the sides. Say we were dark at the base. And then we start doing a color fade coming up it. So we'll do first tint, second tint, third tint, and fourth tint, which is actually over here. Okay, now on the sides here, that texture is not usable for the carbon substrate, so I gotta flip it to something else, something that's kind of would blend in properly at least somehow. Maybe go dark with that there, like that. But now I almost want that dark too. Oh yeah, no, I do have that texture available there. Do I repeat the same texture twice? I guess I could. Okay, then a bunch of little filler stuff here. What else can be done here? I seldomly use this texture as a whole. I use it with the creel, so I was trying to find something else here. But it is a nice texture. I like how it aligns like that. I think in this case it could work, just with that one strip there. And let's try to get something in these spots here too. I don't think you'll ever see this, but you know. And some more purple concrete, I guess, here. That strip. Yeah, let's try to get something else in here. What do you run across the back of it? Could try to put in maybe a vent. Don't really want to do more of that. But I could, you know, that works. Gotta find something. Speaking of, I'm thinking maybe over there too. Doing that. course, whole objective, get as much detail as I can with as few amount of blocks as I can. Well, honestly, I added a few extra blocks to this, so it's not perfect, but perfect would look really lame. Basically, I would have to chop out these side blocks, but other than that, it's running the few amount of blocks as it could per section here. I'm just, yeah, I'm always fighting with the textures though, because it's rough with the textures that you've got to use and fitting it into the theme. Guess I'm gonna have to just stick with concrete here too, I think. Don't want more of that. Maybe fluctuate the color. No, that doesn't help either. What else could I put there? Maybe something like that. Two of those. Guess. That's what I did on that side. Just got to mass fill this in here a minute. Yeah, we'll just do that. Oh. It's weird. I got symmetry on, but it doesn't do four-way symmetry. So yeah, I gotta remember that I gotta kind of repeat everything I'm doing twice on this. And I did this all different on every side here, didn't I? I like that better. And I'll put the vent in here. Alright, let's just fill this last part in. I mean, the more time and effort you put into the texturing, the better your creations will end up looking, though. Even if you got a really killer looking design, a nice coat of textures on it will really dial it in, make it stand out. I'm getting too much of that. I can't use that there. How about that instead? Yeah, maybe get in some of that in the corners there. Oh, I got these blocks backwards on this side. Really hard to tell, especially with concrete textures, where your alignment is, so it's kind of trial and error. Like, I'll try that, and if I got it right, it'll texture that way, so that's good. And what to put in the corner? I don't know. Probably should do the other side here, not that side. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, nothing. I'm fine. And what to texture that with? Let's try that. Okay, so that almost textured the whole bottom of it. If I got that, that's just that. Okay, I don't care about the sides. Okay, last but not least, let's texture the top. Now, I'm just going to kind of do this generically because I'm going to repaint the top based on how big it is and try to make the lines better, I think. So what I'm going to just kind of do is mostly fill this in right now with a pretty flat texture. I'm going to try to keep some kind of lines in here though, at least one direction. Let's do that. And then some concrete there. Make sure they're all lined up correctly. Okay, so this will be decaled and modified at the end. Okay, so now we got part one. Okay, now due to the spacing of all this, now the next part is I want to build a side piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just kind of separate this over by a block for now. And we'll start there. We know that needs to line up to that piece. Now this would be the outer edge sides. So what I kind of want to do is to make it look a little spiky or something, or some kind of formation to make it look a little more interesting. To start with, we'll just kind of expand this out with some full blocks. And let's see, what could we do here to make this look a little crazy and a little krillish. I had some wedge things coming down here. I think that could be kind of neat. Maybe one there, one there. I probably don't need symmetry on for this part. I'll get rid of the other part when it's done, I guess. And just get into some wedges. Curious here. I'm going to try a odd transition block here a minute to see if it would do any effect that would look interesting. Maybe. Trying some weird stuff here. I don't really necessarily want to do that though. Well, what does that look like? Almost like it, except maybe I don't like my transition part anymore. So let's put in a regular one. Or could be a neat place to get some curve action going in here. Grill does use curvies. Okay, not really liking that though. Maybe these shouldn't come out quite as far. And let's try to go, let's put in, this would be a great opportunity for a texture light. So I'm gonna switch materials there and put in something different here in a minute. How about that? Okay, so now on the edges here, I think I'm gonna replace some of these blocks here with something different. Let's get into the thin ones. There's this here, which will leave like a gap, kind of make the top look like it's a separate, thinner piece. Maybe do that there, you know, on all the sides like that. Okay, and then let's take this part and, you know, I'm gonna do this as substrate as well. Let's put just some of these across here. So I can use a different texture with that. Guess I could try it, see how it turns out. If I don't like a part, I can always kind of modify and replace it though, to basically dialing these things in before you move forward and copy everything over. What I'm going to do though, since I don't care about the other side, I'm going to change my symmetry plane to this angle now. So now I only have to texture one side of it. And why I wanted carbon substrate there is so I could put in a potential texture light, which I'm thinking that just nice and creelish, and then try to find something for the rest of it. Oops. On the top, see if we could do that. Or that. So right after I get this piece textured here real quick, we'll start copying it around just to take a look at how it's going to fit together. And concrete. Oh yeah, these are the funky angled ones here. Not much works with that. These kind of do. At least you get an angle going up the middle. How about some more? Well, maybe not. Let's keep it dark and go back to generic concrete texture. That. How about the purple concrete now? Or is that just too much? Kind of too much. I need something more there. Not any more of that. Could go with this. Maybe. Okay, and then this last piece I can actually texture with other stuff, which is wonderful. So let's put a vent and then some of those in there. Alright, and is there any other visible parts? Just the back. texture light on this side too. Okay, so now we've got a side piece as well. Let's get the top textured, at least generically for now, with something. How about that for now? Alright, don't care about the sides there. I think that's fully textured. Alright, so let's define these two parts now. And get rid of the other one. We're going to start with, let's get rid of this here. So we're going to get into selection. Just select that side here, which I don't want. Ah, didn't mean to do that. I remove selection, darn it. Well, another way too. It's I don't know which one's actually quicker. Probably this, since it's that size. Okay, see you bye. All right, let's define these parts here. So, let's start with you. Come on. Oh. Get you to scale. And bring it down to the base. All right, so we're going to do a copy. And then I'm going to save to list. I'll call it base. I don't want to use numbers. Base A, in case we have alternative versions. Okay, so that is there. So I'm gonna now remove that selection. Actually, here we'll just modify it and drag that out over here. Shrink it. Okay, that doesn't need it coming down that far. Alright, so we're going to copy that, save to list, side A. Okay, remove selection. Okay, so now let's copy this base A around a few times here, away from where I'm building all the parts. So first thing we want to do is copy this thing. So I get back into N. I will select base A. And then we want to copy to selection, but this is where I screwed up last time. I was copying it to selection thinking it was there. I forgot to hit copy again. So you copy to selection, then you have to hit the copy button. When you copy to selection, it just puts the box around it again, but doesn't actually copy what's there. So then if you do a second copy here, and then you paste it, now you should have the part you want, and everything should be fine. So I'm going to just kind of go over out of the way a little bit right now. Let's start it over there. So we'll paste this. And I think I should be able to go here and hit paste again, but I have to do it twice. Otherwise it doesn't actually come to the world. So let's do this some more here. We'll just do a little chunk of it. Obviously, we can expand this out to whatever size we want. And another thing I can do too, if I really wanted to save some time, is I could say take a larger chunk, like the 4 that I just copied, and then we can just copy that, paste that around. So we've got, so all of a sudden, obviously we made that one part. Now we've got this big structure. Just wanted to see what it looks like in a pattern on the bottom. Yeah, has a little different look. It's still this big squarish kind of structure, so it's not like custom made that way. Oh man, and I missed a texture on the legs. Ah, I see. If you miss one thing, then you would have to fix all of it. Yeah, that whole block there didn't get textured. So I'm not so worried about this. This was a test. So what I want to make sure I do is fix the problem on the base part real quick. Okay, any other flaws? I think that's good. Now, I'm going to hit Y to turn it off and back on again a second, if it works. Okay. Because when you copy and paste, sometimes it does not illuminate all the texture lights at once. And there's another thing too. What does this look like at night? Turn off the flashlight. Well, I guess I can keep the flashlight on. Yeah, it looks kind of cool. I like that. It looks detailed, like there was a lot of time and effort put into it, but really not so much. Okay. So let's play with the other side piece here a minute. So we're going to get back to this. I'm going to hit N. We're going to go to side A. Copy to selection. Copy, paste. So let's move some of this in here. Over to where the temporary build is. That looks about right, I think. Not sure if I like the side piece or not yet. So let's paste. Paste again. Alright. Well, it does look a little different from this one. Now, that's the thing. I mean, the only way I could really make a really authentic landing pad for Creel to really do it is probably like custom do the whole thing. All funky and weird, but if you're going kind of for a modular effect, this is certainly a lot quicker. As you can tell, I mean, literally, if I were to copy this around after I obviously, you know, rebuild it again, all I really would need to do to finish this, well, here, you know what, one other experiment. I want to see what this part copied looks like on the other side, because these are aligned one direction or the other, which is a little bit different on this one. So copy to selection, copy, paste. I should have just grabbed this part again, and then I will rotate it. And let's see, I did rotate that the right way. Yep. Well, there would be one other part that is needed over here, maybe, and that is just putting in like a corner block. I just want to see how this lines up with the rest of this. Probably look a little weird. Well, anyway, that's kind of how this is going. Not so bad, not so bad. Something's wrong though. What did I do wrong here? Or no, I guess everything's right. Oh, not really. There's the side pieces here. Did I get one of these misaligned? Yeah, something's wrong here. What did I do wrong? Let's undo some of this. Okay, so that looks right. That one's too close. That's the problem. Okay. I was going to say, it seemed like it was one block off. So we're going to copy that to selection, copy, paste again. Let me fix that. I'll rotate you. Get you over here. And yeah, I had a one block gap in between the two there, and not two on the one. So that was my bad there. Okay, so now that comes out right to the edge like it should. Alright, so. Well, let's make it really big now. So, I'm going to take an entire mass that's here. My God, that's a wide spaceship, isn't it? And I got corners on two edges right now, which is... Okay, well, let's see what happens here. So let's take this whole thing. With the side pieces on. Okay, so we want that. I'll do a copy. Paste. I didn't want to save this part. It's kind of a temporary thing here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it out this way, but then I'm going to rotate it. So it's... Oh, that's not going to work out so well, is it? Because, yeah, because these are aligned to go one particular direction when I rotate it. Another way to have the edges not on it, and I got my lines going the other way. Not cool. Guess that's what I get for changing the formula around a little bit. I'm up this, so what does that do for me? Yeah, I think I would have to copy it without the edges on it. I'm just saying you could. Anyway, that is kind of the a simple method of modularity on how to do this kind of thing. And it's basically building parts. Of course, the more parts you make, and you know, like if you were emulating the actual blocks in the game, and you could really do a lot with this. For instance, like say I took, you know, there's like this block. Say this was scaled up to five times its size, and it was this big thing. I could make something like that. Then I could make a part that would fit it just like these other blocks do, and assemble all those bigger pieces into one thing, which again would certainly save some time. But as of, yeah, just screwing around with this a little bit. Literally, if I wasn't so picky, and if I just made these, you know, straightforward and not quite as complicated, and didn't do my alignment going down one side like this, I could have just copied this like 4 or 6 times around and pasted it all together, and I would have had a landing pad pretty much like this, or any size I really wanted, pretty quickly. Now this one I did kind of do the custom painting on the top of it, and it looks like I got some decals that are misaligned again. Yay. But that's about it. That's a very simple way of doing modularity. I want to explore this more too once I get caught up on some other projects. Now, moving on to some other stuff, I did finish this POI on the inside. It's totally finished now. I don't want to show you yet because I'm in the process of rigging it, and I even got it kind of partially rigged right now. But I made a error with how the creatures are spawning, and I need to fix that. So what I'm thinking is Friday I'm gonna do a run through on the POI complete, and I won't show you anything more on it until I get to that point. And I'll probably do some more tweaking. I got to get some LCDs in here yet too, so that needs to take place. So yeah, Friday I'll run the POI, see how it does, and I might check out a POI from a Scarly as well. He's been working on some Planet Tech and some other stuff, and really coming up with some neat results here for creative scenarios and all kinds of stuff. So it is cool. Um, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you understand what I was the basic concept of doing like things in modular, copying and pasting them, how it's working, and it opens up a lot of possibilities. I mean, especially used for building really large structures that can be repetitive. Um, if it's one of a kind, then yeah, there's not much point in it. But I mean, literally, you could build all kinds of little town buildings or parts of town buildings and then assemble them all together to build a city pretty quickly, doing this kind of method. Now, of course, if it was all custom done, every little part, you'd probably get more detail and customization in it, I guess. But if you're going for mass bulk design, and don't want to spend forever and a day on it, that's a good way to do it. Like obviously, if I was trying to build this whole thing and didn't do the copy paste and all the parts, this would have taken probably another 4 hours to do, at least, maybe. I don't know. But anyway, you get the point. So you all have yourself a good day. I will see you later.